Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face and welcome back to this Williams career on Motorsport Manager. It is absolutely sweltering outside, it is really hot in this room, so hopefully I can keep my concentration going for this Singapore Grand Prix today. Hopefully it doesn't lead me to make any disastrous sort of tactical mistakes with our pit stops or anything like that. Anything to go with our tactics. But anyway, last time out we had a really good race in Milan. Kubica 6, Sirotkin into the points for only the second time this season, finishing 9th. A really good race from him as well. Puts him up to 14th in the championship. Kubica is 9th, doing really well himself, but I'm still conflicted about what we're doing next season. Esteban Ocon is still the main choice. So whether it's going to be Esteban Ocon with Kubica as sort of the number 2, or if it's going to be Esteban Ocon with Sirotkin at the number 2. I'm leaning towards the latter one of those, just because Sirotkin brings so much money into the team, and if we keep on Lance Stroll as the reserve driver, his contract still runs into next season. We still take home 1.3 million per race from having paid drivers in the car, so maybe that is what we're going to be doing, and then Esteban Ocon will sort of focus everything towards his car for most of the season at least, so he's going to be the driver that we're going to be pushing to get up into the points next season. We are a day before the Singapore Grand Prix. We do have a quick vote coming up, which is a vote on spec gearboxes. I don't want any spec parts in this series because spec parts do make it a little bit easier for myself, so we're going to go ahead and vote against it along with Mercedes, Ferrari and McLaren. It looks like voting against. We've got Renault voting for, and it looks like Haas as well. So let's just vote against. We'll skip to the end, conclude, and 8 votes against, only 3 for, 2 from Renault, 1 from Haas. So let's continue. So that it has been rejected, which is good. We're 1 day out from this new suspension being built. Obviously this is not going into the car, we're just sort of working on next year's car by building some of the riskier parts now. So we're going to put this one in the car, and then we're going to go for this one, which adds 50 on, which is quite a big improvement over where we are. So next season we might be able to have a decent suspension, because the one we've got at the moment is not that good in the car. Even with the one we've just built, it hasn't taken us anywhere near the average. Hopefully we can sort of get up there. Our car is 9th overall at the moment. This new suspension part that we've built obviously is not going into the car this season, so we don't have to worry about the reliability of it, but that can get up to a 787, which is pretty good for us male wise. So that is all done. Meanwhile, we're still 1 day away from getting all the engines, the rear wings and the brakes up to their full potential, which means we can then work on the front wings that we've got in the car after this as well, and then we're fully up to scratch. I think there's a few, maybe a little few bits. The suspension still got some room in it, the one that we've got in the car at the moment. Yeah, so there's still a little bit more ways we can improve the car this season, but other than that, that's going to be it then. But it's upgraded. The engine's possibly got another 20 points or so, maybe at least another 10 on what was there in the last race. But anyway, we're going to skip ahead to the Singapore Grand Prix. We're going to be trying up something a little bit different with format this week. I'm going to try it and include the qualifying session, at least our runs in qualifying session, just to show what goes on in qualifying. I know I've had someone ask for it, so we're going to try it out. Obviously we'll change up the grid order that we usually go through after the race, because we're going to be seeing the grid as qualifying goes on, but hopefully we can get to see that, and we can go over tactics sort of before the race starts. We can go over what strategy we're going for. But anyway, let's jump in. Martini, we'll go for the same tyres that we always do, but other than that we're going to skip over practice, and this time a little bit different. We're going to be back in a second for qualifying, and it's going to be stormy in qualifying, so it could be quite interesting there as well. So anyway, we'll be back in a moment for that. Right, so here we go for the first coverage of qualifying session this season. Rain is coming, so if we get the cars out nice and early, we're going to send Kubica out first along with the rest of the AI cars that should be coming out of the pits early on. So if Kubica gets out, although Kubica says, where are the AI cars? There they are, they're starting coming out, and then we'll send Sirotkin out. I always let the AI do the tyre temperatures and brake temperatures now. Just because this is a simulation, I'm not actually in control of the drivers other than telling them when to push and whatnot. It's up to them to get their tyre temperatures right. So Kubica's done pretty good to good, but Sirotkin's overheated on both here. So here we go with Kubica's first lap. We didn't seem overly quick in practice, so I'm guessing we're going to struggle here. Although this first session, where the rain is, we've got most of the lap done on a dry track, so we might be pretty quick here with Kubica. He comes across the line in a 1:12.9. That's almost 2 seconds up on where we were in practice on doing a qualifying session practice. Sorokin's a little bit down, 5/10 down on Kubica. That's the first session done. The other AI cars, they usually send them out right at the end of the session. They miss the middle section out totally for some reason. Even though there's a dry track from around 15 minutes, it doesn't look like it's going to rain again. It did say stormy conditions, so it looks like there's going to be a full dry qualifying lap towards the end of the session, which everyone's going to be coming out for. So we're just going to fast forward and see what everyone else's times they're posting. As you can see, a lot of these cars out on wet tracks. We've got some other cars coming out as well on intermediates as well. Whether they come out at the end of the session, we might not see the Haas's and Force Indias out again at the end of the session. But we're going to skip ahead now until the other AI cars come out at the end of the session, and we'll pick up from there. Right, the AI has started to file out of the pits, so just so we don't get an advantage over coming out the last, which is what you can do. I don't want a big advantage in qualifying or anything like that. Anything that I might construe as sort of gaming the system a little bit. I want this to be as hard as possible, as realistic as possible. So I get my cars out just as the other cars are coming out. Kubica usually comes out second. Onto a fresh pair of super softs today. Yeah, I couldn't even remember if I put a fresh pair on Sorokin. We're currently sat 7th and 11th. I don't know whether we're going to be able to do this. So it seems like a lot of the other cars around here are not doing another run. It looks like they did their second run on the intermediates. So other than people like Ricciardo, maybe Carlos Sainz will go above us. Kubica's not really going to drop outside the top 10 here. He goes good and perfect. He should be able to improve on this time as well, because some of that was done under wet conditions. Sorokin should be able to improve his lap as well. He's gone quicker in the first sector, as has Kubica. Is he going to get a quicker second sector? He does. It doesn't look like he's going to go that much quicker, though, than what he did his first lap. Comes across the line up to 11th, so he does drop outside the top 10. Sorokin a 13th. So all that were out of the cars that stayed in that came back out, we were the slowest again. So this track really not suiting our car at all. So it's going to be quite hard in the race unless we can get our strategy right and sort of work around somehow. Usually our strategy does go a long way to improving our position in the race. But 12th and 13th, luckily, is not that bad. We possibly would have been a long way down the order if the AI had all done their second qualifying stint at the end of the race. I don't know why they won't come out again. I don't know whether they've not got enough super softs for qualifying, whether they're not picking the tyres right. It's a mystery to me. So we're just going to see. Going to go into car setup and see what we're like. 37 laps here, so it's quite a long race. So 17, and we have to use 2, so 29. Oh, it'd be tight on that, so it might be a medium to a soft to a super soft, or a medium soft or a soft medium. We'll start out on the soft just to see what we can do with Kubica on those tyres. We're going to fuel him up to the end of the race, whereas Sorokin is going to start on the mediums. He's possibly going to go on 2 mediums because he usually burns through his tyres a little bit more. So we'll take the boost from the soft for Kubica, and we'll go for race trim. And we'll take the boost for the mediums, although we've only got the mediums up to a level 2. So would it be best to go for the softs on the second stint? Yeah, we'll go for the softs because we're possibly going to go 2 softs as well for Sorokin, but just in a different order. So we'll go with like that. The weather is a little bit hot, but we can push from the off at the start. Meanwhile, we'll hang back with Sorokin maybe. No, we'll get him pushing. We'll get him pushing as well. So we'll head in, and then we see the grid. Vettel on pole, Hamilton 2nd, Ricciardo 3rd, Raikkonen 4th, Bottas 5th, Max Verstappen 6th, Hulkenberg 7th, Alonso 8th, Van Dorn 9th, Carlos Sainz 10th in the Renault, Roman Grosjean 11th, Kubica 12th, Sorokin 13th, and then these other cars that didn't run towards the end of the qualifying. Esteban Ocon in the Force India, Toro Rosso's on the 8th row, Gasly and Hartley, the Sauber of Ericsson 17th, Magnussen right down the back of the grid for some reason recently, 18th, Leclerc still injured with a dodgy neck 19th, and Sergio Perez all the way in last place. So going through that a little bit quicker since we did the qualifying session on camera, but here we go. Hopefully we can get a decent start. Both our cars right by each other here. Kubica looks like he's quick off the line here, although held up by the Renault of Sainz, but manages to get past him. makes a wonderful move. Sorokin as well, looks like he's going to make that move down the inside, and it looks like he's challenging Kubica as well. We don't really want Sorokin to get past Kubica, with Kubica being on the quicker tyre. We don't really want Sorokin holding him up. We do want him holding up Sainz, however. There we go, we've got the Kubica ahead, which is good for us. So here we go. Can we pick up any places? Can we get into the points? Everyone else out on these super softs, so their strategy is going to be compromised a little bit later into the race. Whether they think they can do a super soft 2 mediums, maybe that's what they're going to be going for, the AI. But again, that depends on whether they have brought enough of the medium tyre compound. And we see Sorokin's about to make this move. We don't really want him holding Kubica up, so we'll just get him to hang back a little bit. We don't want him holding Kubica up in this race, so we'll have him hang back a little bit. Whether Kubica would have been able to do that by himself, but Sorokin's on really good form here, so maybe we should let him race if he's quick on this medium tyre. Yeah, Sorokin's quicker on this medium tyre at the moment, so we'll actually just let him race here. As we can see, Sorokin's going past this medium tyre, looking really quick today around this track. The temperatures, oh, we've got rain coming later in the session, so from around about lap 11, so we've got some room to push on these medium tyres as Sorokin, since he's ahead. These tyres can go for another 14 laps, so yeah, we've got rain, and then we've got heavy rain to finish the Grand Prix. So it looks like the heavy rain that was forecast from qualifying, that didn't actually turn out to be there, has moved along to the race. But anyway, Kubica's managed to get back past Sorokin. I think we have life in this soft tyre as well. We should have sort of had a look at the weather before we started, then we could have worked around this. Although these cars that are on the super softs, they're going to have to pit before the rain even comes, so that's really going to work in our favour. So maybe, you know, we'll just keep pushing as normal with Kubica, and we're going to have some room to push in overtake mode as well, in attack mode, when the rain is about to come. So 10th and 11th is not bad here. We might be able to pick up some places, as these are going to have to start pitting. As we know, the Renault blasting through their tyres early somehow. I don't know whether their chassis, we might have to take a look after the race. Maybe it's the chassis that's doing something. Maybe, I doubt Hulkenberg and Sainz's smoothness rating that is that low that they're burning through the tyres. But we can't make Renault work any better. Their strategy just all over the place. But 10th and 11th, we've got both cars together here. Both cars are pretty much equal. There's only a half star between the two drivers, so Sorokin still looking quick on this medium tyre. He's lapping a lot quicker, so although we have got him in attack mode now, so maybe that's the reason why. But earlier on in the race, he was keeping pace, so Sorokin really making that case for him keeping that seat next year. Rain still coming around lap 11ish, and maybe we start holding off on these tyres now. We don't want them overheating and these softs fading away before then, and we'll get into conserve just to cool these tyres down a little bit, because I'm hoping that the AI has totally messed up their strategy and we can move up the order a little bit more than this. We're going to be giving up places to Grosjean, but nothing to worry about. I'm hoping we can still go a little bit longer than them, although Grosjean doesn't actually manage to get past. So maybe since Kubica's a little bit ahead, we can cool him down and then get him back into medium mode pretty quickly, although we've got Grosjean coming up on the back. So now that Grosjean's ahead, we'll go back up mode with Sorokin as well for a little bit, cool those tyres down, get him into neutral. And Kubica as well, we're going to move him across to neutral. These tyres overheating, but not overheating to the point where they're going to degrade the tyres too much, I wouldn't think. So we're just on the lookout for this rain now. We've got one car in the... Oh, we've got someone pitted already. That's Hulkenberg in the Renault already pitting to put on a new super soft, and he's going to have to pit really soon for a pair of inters. So it looks like there's going to be enough rain at the end of the session to get onto a pair of wets, but then it's going to dry up really. We've got full thunderstorms, but then it's going to dry up, and it's going to be a little bit of rain towards the end of the session still. So the wet tyre might be an option towards the end of the race. Both of these cars easily going to get around now to the point where we can get them in for intermediates. Although we might have to spread the pit stops around a little bit, because both our cars are a little bit too close together for my liking. As we see a lot of other cars now pitting for their second super soft set. only a couple of laps away from the wet tyres. We've got Grosjean coming in as well, although his tyres, what are they at? 28%. I'd probably risk staying out because you're going to be really wet, really slow on a pair of intermediate tyres. As we see our cars moving up the order, although the pit lane here does seem to cut a little bit of the track out, so quick pit stops, but these tyres can get to a 10 now, so we're going to conserve until the rain comes. Maybe Kubica might even have to pit a little bit earlier, but if we can get sort of ahead of these other cars, we're going to keep... We might have to get Kubica in this lap, though, for this intermediate tyre. So it looks like this is going to be Sorokin's race. What are we slowing down by at the moment? 6.97. So if we get in now for this intermediate tyre... Should we do it this lap? Yeah, this tyre's fading away too much for Kubica. Maybe we shouldn't have pushed it so much in the early going. We do have a chance of a mistake. Our A team running a little bit tired, but it's only 17%. And Sorokin does have room to push now on this tyre, so he's going to be in a really good position as he comes back out. Kubica, decent pit stop from him, so he's out into 12th. Ahead of the others that are on Inter, so we're going to lose a little bit of time now, but all these other ones that are on super soft still do have to pit. So as we see the rain start now, should we bring Kubica? No, the track is still dry enough to be on this tyre, so we can do this last lap. The mediums can get all the way down, and then we can jump in for these Inters on the next lap and see where Sorokin comes back out. He's about 17 seconds ahead of Kubica at the moment. So where's Sorokin going to come back out after this pit stop? Hopefully there's going to be no mistakes. There we go, a nice quick pit stop. And Sorokin back out into 7th and 9th for Kubica. So pretty good, pretty good. We didn't actually gain too much time around there. The track's still pretty dry by the time this, but we've got some that have lost a lot of time, it looks like. So we're just going to sort of hold back now. Didn't even look what the Inters can do on this. We can do about 13 laps on an Inter. The heavy rain's coming somewhere around lap 27-ish. So we can easily get to that point if we look after these tyres and then get onto a pair of wets to finish the race on. Although we're going to be slow for the last couple of laps, it looks like. Although having the wets on for what could be 5 or 6 laps looks to be the right choice to go for the end of the race. So I'm guessing we've just settled into these positions now. Some others might have to come in for a couple of these cars around, might have to do another stop for another fresh pair of Inters, which might work in our favour as well. And we're currently holding up Kimi Räikkönen as we did last race. Räikkönen was in that pack that was following Sorokin, as he did some excellent defensive driving in the last race. Looks like he's doing some excellent defensive driving in this race as well, ahead of Kubica for the first time this season, although that was because Kubica went through his tyres a little bit quicker, had to come in for the Inters a lap earlier and had a pair of worn tyres on as well. But Sorokin has been lapping quicker, although we see him behind now. We've got 20 laps left, so we don't even need to think about recovering the fuel at the moment. So if we can keep this up, this is another really good race for us. If we can see where the Haas's are, Grosjean outside the points, as is Magnussen. So are we going somewhere to catch in? We're not even fighting them. It's Force India. We're already above Haas. So where are the Force Indias? We've got Perez 13th, Ocon 16th. They're outside the points. That puts us to within 15 points of them if we can hold these positions. Maybe even pick up some more, as we see some other cars that might need to pit for a fresh pair of Inters, and they might be stuck on the Inters as well. They might want to try and get those Inters through and stay on the Inters through the wet weather. So Sorokin 7th, Kubica's 9th. We're just sort of holding cars off at the moment. It seems to be almost like a procession, like real life F1 at the moment. Not many passing places on this Singapore Grand Prix. Sorokin managing to hold off Kimi Räikkönen as well. So let's just speed things up a little bit. Get through a couple of laps as we're just holding cars up. But Räikkönen, no chance at getting past the Renault of Hulkenberg. He came in for those pretty early, but he's done a good job at holding on to the tyres this time. So, although no, he actually came in a little bit later, didn't he? What lap did he come in? He only did 5 laps on that second set of super softs. So he's been on the Inters for a little bit shorter than us, so that's why he's already done 2 pit stops, but he's already on the back of us. And still holding up here. Rain's stopping a little bit. It's still quite a while to go until the really wet weather comes. But there we go, pulling away from Raikkonen a little bit, which is good for us. 16 laps left. Should we get on the fuel, or should we just try to keep these cars behind us? Should we go back into medium mode and then we can push a little bit later when we're on a wet tyre? Maybe save that, since we're just holding cars up at the moment. We've got no real chance of catching the cars in front of us at the moment, although we're going to be overtaking Alonso and Bottas soon, as we see the race leader Vettel into the pits. It looks like Hamilton's going to be able to maybe stay out until the wet comes, so Hamilton in prime position for the race now to win. Alonso has come into the pits. Bottas as well has come into the pits. So are we going to go past them? Yes, we are. They're staying in the pits quite a while. Alonso's out. Bottas is out. We move up into 5th and 7th now. So if we can make this stick until the wet comes, we might be able to keep these positions over Alonso and Bottas. So this is shaping up to be a really nice race for us. Whether we can hold on to these positions, obviously, the McLaren and Mercedes now on a lot fresher tyres. Carlos Sainz has made another pit stop as well. He's seemingly out of it towards what our strategy is doing. Kubica burning through this tyre pretty quickly, although I think we had him out a little bit. And these tyres overheating a little, although I think they can get through to where we want them to be. But still holding up the Renault and Ferrari. Somehow Raikkonen actually dropping back. Are his tyres going? No, not as much as ours. So these can get round to about 10% before they start losing performance. So we're going to be able to hang on to the wet weather for both of these cars. Kubica going to be coming in first. Is that someone behind Kubica thinking about pitting? Is that Sainz already? Hulkenberg already coming in. So is he going to go for another Inter and then be on the wrong tyre when it comes to when the track is at its wettest? We see Verstappen hit the pits. Verstappen's gone into an intermediate tyre as well. So should we switch things up and go for that wet tyre? It looks like there's going to be enough wet weather, but we're going to be really slow when the rain starts to stop. So it's going to be pretty risky. Are we going to risk it? Everyone else is out on intermediates. We want to sort of see what some of the AI is going to be doing around that time as well. Don't want to risk it and totally mess the race up. These tyres getting a little bit down there for... So we're going to get Kubica in. He's going to keep with the intermediate strategy of the AI cars. And we're going to put Sorokin, since he's got a little bit more life in these tyres, he's going to come in for the wet tyres. Unless the AI starts to do something totally different. We've had a mistake on the pit stop, cost us 2 seconds. But Kubica's now back out, and he should be able to finish the race now. Unless we've seen some cars come in for the wet tyre. It's just whether it's going to cause so many problems towards the end of the race. Maybe we should have gone wet with Kubica. Maybe that's messed his race up a little bit. We're not going to know until it sort of comes to it. But Sorokin now, this weather, we've still got another lap we can do on these Inters maybe, or should we get him in now for these wet tyres? I think we'll get him in this lap for these wet tyres. Can they go to the end of the race? 13 laps, they can. If we look after them, they can get to the end of the race. So Sorokin now into the pits. So I think what we might do... No, we're going to keep Kubica going like this. Sorokin's back out into 5th place. We're going to start seeing Kubica probably drop down the order now as everyone's in for wet tyres. I think we're just going to have to live with this intermediate tyre until the end of the race, because we should be able to pick up the time towards the end of the race with Kubica. So we'll sort of hang back with these tyres and hang back with the fuel as well. We've got a little bit of room to push with Sorokin. Hamilton... we're going to have to keep you like that, Kubica, because if we pit you, where are you going to be if you come into the pits? He's not going to lose that much time, though. He's going to lose about 20 seconds. No, he's not, is he? He's going to be out in 14th with no real chance of picking up the places. So we're going to keep him out on the track, and maybe once his track starts to dry off near the end of the race, he's going to be in prime position to really push on these tyres. So we might as well go conserve with him, and then we can put him into overtake mode near the end of the race. And meanwhile, we can get Sorokin up now. Is the weather still warm? Yeah, these tyres now will go to the end of the race. 5th place, still holding off Raikkonen. So this is going to be a really good finish for Sorokin if he can hold on here. Whereas we start seeing Kubica going a lot slower. Now and we've seen Hamilton come into the pits. Is he going to stay out ahead of Vettel? Hamilton coming around that last corner. Hamilton comes back out into the lead, about a 4-second lead on fresher tyres. Kubica now dropping down the order. What sort of lap times is he doing? He's about 1.5 seconds slower. That is not much. No, there we go. 4 seconds slower. So this could be... He could pick it up before the end of the race. We don't know. We're going to stick him out there and everyone else is out on wets. You can do it, Kubica. You can make this stick. Whether he's got time to pick these places back up at the end of the race is another question entirely. But Sorokin doing really well. He's got another trail of cars just sort of on the back of him again, heading to the last part of the race. As we saw him on the last race, this track just totally wet now. What are we still losing? About 5 seconds, are we? Still losing about 5 seconds. The rain is going to start stopping soon, and that would put our Inters back into prime position for the end of the race. So is Kubica going to be able to pick these back up? There, the rain is starting to slow down. So if we get back up into medium now, or maybe into... yeah, we're going to start pushing. The rain is stopping. How far are we outside? That is about 17 seconds. So can we pick up 17 seconds in these last 5 laps? Are the AI going to come in for Inters? These are the questions we need answering. The track's still wet, and there we start to see the track start drying off now. The temperature is pretty low, so we can get into push mode now, and we can get into high mode as the rain starts stopping. So our lap time is going to start picking up, and we see cars pitting for fresh intermediates. So we're going to start moving back up this order, hopefully. Have they got enough on us that they can get into for Inters? Sorokin, meanwhile, are other cars pitting around us? They are, because this track is going to be really dry. So should we get in for our Inters this lap? This track drying off. And then we have some room to push as well on the new tyres. So Raikkonen has stayed out. He's going to try and make those wet tyres work. Although I think we might have to, we should have time to catch him. I don't know if he's going to stay out. This means Kubica's up into 11th place. So he's going to stay outside the points, it looks like. And we've got cars on fresher tyres coming back at Kubica as well. Maybe we should have got him in for that wet tyre, but we went the wrong way with the intermediates. But just try to get a feel for the game as well. Once again, on strategy, I don't know if they changed anything with the last patch. It has been a while. You used to lose a lot more time than 5 seconds when you were on the wrong tyre during the weather, so I thought that was going to be a lot worse than it actually turned out being. But Sorokin, meanwhile, he's still just pushing nicely along here. He's ahead of Alonso. Kubica has moved up to 10th place. Outstanding for him. Maybe we'll have to go back on these tyres as well. We've got fresher tyres on the cars behind. I don't think we're going to be able to hold off Roman Grosjean for that long. I think these tyres should get to the end of the race like that, and we can push over attack mode with Sorokin. He's got a little bit of room here as well to keep him away from Alonso. Alonso really fighting at him here. And it looks like Alonso's going to make that move. Sorokin still excellent defensive driving. Manages to keep Alonso behind. We've got a little bit of rain coming back, although the track's still drying out here. Kubica still doing really well at holding off these cars behind him. So excellent... don't even want to click pit there. Excellent defensive driving from both these guys. So we're just going to home in on Sorokin. Hope he can stay ahead of Alonso whilst keeping a quick eye on Kubica. He's still got... I think he's got a massive line of cars behind him. No, just 2 cars. It looked a lot more. He's got Grosjean. Hulkenberg has done 5 pit stops. Roman Grosjean, 4 pit stops. We've managed to do 2 with Kubica, so slightly helped him out a little. We possibly would have been around about the same place. I don't think we've lost that much time because he was a little bit further behind. Although 17 seconds behind, we could have had another car around here. But it's worth it. We're safe this season. We're not really chasing Force India. It would be nice to catch Force India. 12 points now. We might be able to make that up in the final few races to get up into the usual Williams 5th place, which hasn't been the case this season in real life. These tyres wearing away, but we're on the last lap now, coming up to the last lap. And Sorokin started to pull away as well from Fernando Alonso, so we might as well go back. We need to recover the fuel as well. We need to start recovering this fuel as well for Kubica on this final lap. It looks like Kubica's going to hold on to this 10th place.
Sorokin now a long way ahead. This is going to be an excellent result for Sorokin. 5th place for Sergei Sorokin. If he can make this stick around this last sort of really long, sort of like 2 corners, that's almost a hairpin. And there we go, 5th place for Sorokin. Kubica, meanwhile, he's managed to pull away from the cars behind him as well. He's going to keep hold of this 10th place, so managed to climb back up into the points there. Amazing for Kubica as well to hold on to that 10th place, even though he was out on that intermediate tyre for that really long stretch. Although the wet weather wasn't there for as long as I thought it was going to be, around 3 laps. From this, it looked like it could have been there for around 5 laps, but I wonder what everyone sort of did on that wet tyre. But everyone sort of came in early. The wet didn't actually take effect till around here, sort of. So it might have just worked out from Kubica. He might have been around about the same place. But anyway, that was a decent race for us once again. More points on the board. Sorokin, quite a lot of points on the board for him. Picks up 10 points. Only 17 seconds behind the leaders, although they did do another pit stop. So as we look at the standings now, Vettel is first. Lewis Hamilton finally moves up into 2nd place. Ricciardo's form not really slipping. He was probably doing about the same, but Lewis Hamilton's form's really coming back now. Although it looks like he was in the lead. He must have made another pit stop at some point. No, he didn't. He actually won the race, didn't he? What am I saying? He did actually win the race. So he's closing in on Vettel. So it's going to be interesting between Vettel and Hamilton. Ricciardo was leading for a long time. Vettel then took over, and it looks like Hamilton's coming back strong as the season wears on. Sergei Sorokin now up into 12th place in the drivers' standings. Sort of confirming that he's doing well enough in this car that we can keep him on as a paid driver next season. We are currently 6th in the constructors. I don't think Haas will catch us this season. Toro Rosso, though, really struggling. It's between them and Sauber. Could even be Renault, because Renault's still struggling as well. But enough about the standings. Both our drivers still really happy. Stroll really unhappy, but he's going to be staying in this reserve seat next season just so we can use him in practice, which does give us access to almost £1 million after the race, which is a handy sum really, as not many teams are making money, because if you look at the sponsors, all the money does come in up front. So I'm guessing teams are maybe losing money. All the money from this comes from that big chunk of money you get payment up front, and at the end of the season through prize money and what you've been saving for your own car next season. So it's going to be interesting to see how the AI handles the money next season. So we'll just get through this interview. Mercedes AMG F1 team Bottas had a bit of a disaster in that race, finishing down in 13th. We're going to say they just got unlucky. Valtteri's an excellent driver, just because this one will make him want to sign for our team. So Valtteri Bottas is now open to a return to Williams. He's really unhappy at Mercedes, but he didn't actually want to sign with us last season. His feedback's not the best. Down at a 10. But everything else is really good. Would he be wanting too much money? Wages are important to me. He's going to be wanting more than £1 million. So that is more than too much. It's double the cost of what Esteban Ocon would be costing for next season. We'll just see who's new in the pit crew. No real improvements there. And we'll just finish. Hamilton wins the Singapore Grand Prix. So we've got Russia coming up next. Looks like there's not going to be any rain there. Russia, fuel burn low, tyre wear very high. It's all about the Aero. Top speed's useful, so we might do a little bit better. Singapore wasn't a track for us because it's a lot of the parts are not our worst. We're good on engine heavy tracks because our engine is one of the best. It's up to 3rd now is the engine. So this Mercedes engine that we've got in the car, it did drop down to 8th at one point. It's now up to 3rd. So we've got a lot of extra power in this car. So maybe that's the turnaround in our form this season. But anyway, that is it for this episode of this Williams Resurrection career. Just hit subscribe if you want to. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Esteban Ocon, Sorokin next season. Do you agree? It is what I'm leaning to at the moment. We still should be making money per race with that setup next season. That is what I'm most interested in going for. But maybe hit me up on Twitter as well if you want to. The link, not the link, but there's a link down below. There's a little symbol up in the top right corner of this video as well with my Twitter handle. But anyway, that is it for this episode. I will see you down the road in Russia for the Black Sea Grand Prix in the next episode. But until then, goodbye.